right, you have your notes? Or you know what y'all gonna say?
I don't know, me figure it out.
Alright.
I'm filling the blanks on the way.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiana.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is WongaGyal, the podcast, your favorite Caribbean food podcast.
Oh, one people, we never miss we.
Yeah, guys, I'm so sorry.
We've been gone for like
we've been
3
gone
years.
for a while. We've been gone for a while. I'm so sorry we did not make an appearance last week.
Yeah, but you know, life got in the way of all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I'm sure you guys can all relate to when things get a little overwhelming every now and again.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
There was too much going on.
Yeah.
It was too much.
And unfortunately, you know, when I have money like that for like pay other people for edit the podcast and them things. So yeah, you know how I go. We just had to take a little hiatus, but we're back now.
Back again,
like Casey Fennell as
you know,
always.
every time one of us say back again on this podcast, you have to follow it up.
I have to say it, like
you have to reference the story.
Like Casey Fennell is a back again icon, like. Big up Casey Fennell anyway today. Big up her food company Fenmade as well.
Fenmade, big up Fenmade. Did you see the video that she did? What was she cooking? I saw a clip of it and I never finished it. She posted it this week though. You should.
I think I also saw something that she posted this week, but I never watched it.
She was cooking something in a very nice kitchen, and I think what I was gonna send to you and say was right to the kitchen and I see.
I have to go check it out.
Yeah, it's a very nice kitchen.
I have to go big up yourself, Casey. But yes, so seeing as this will be the only episode in May,
don't blame us for that fully. Like that's May's fault.
That's May's fault.
That's
Honestly, like
fault.
where is May going? Why May going so fast? Like she's doing too much right now. As far
it's
as
like
I'm
way
concerned.
past halfway mark.
But given that this will be the only episode in May, and if you guys didn't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we decided that it would only be appropriate to talk about mental health. And maybe not mental health, but like mental well-being.
And how it relates to what we eat, what we don't eat, how we can help, how we can affect.
Yeah, because I think that when a lot of people think about like mental health, right? I feel like a lot of them just think about people with mental health illnesses, like people who have ADHD, people who are schizophrenic, people who are bipolar, depressed, have anxiety. I feel like a lot of people just put that off as like, I don't have those things, so my mental health is fine. I don't have to be concerned. And I felt moved to speak about those things and how like mental health affects everybody. Great. Mental well-being, it's the well-being of your mind. It's literally something that everybody, just like how you take care of your body, your brain is a part of your body, people. Like it is something that you should continuously work to take care of, just like how, you know, take care of your heart health, you take care of your physical self, you know, your body, your fat, all of those things. You should also be taking care of your brain and therefore your mind.
And I mean, mental well-being is everybody's business, not just on an individual basis, but as a society. I think Jamaica especially, just from my observation, it is not at the forefront of our medical practices, meaning
I think that's medical practice. It's not at the forefront of anything.
Yeah, meaning, you know, we'll see all of these campaigns for, you know, dietary plans and how much you should exercise. And I think the focus or the importance of mental well-being, while it might be a very new concept, it's still not something that I think is as, you know, important to the masses. So I think it's very important for all of us to pay attention to it, learn as much as we can, just not only for ourselves but so that we can be mindful of others, whether or not they're going through issues of their own. Yeah,
that's the thing. I feel like once you become more aware of mental health and mental well-being in general, I find from my own experience, I have found that I have become more understanding and empathetic towards why other people behave the way they behave.
Very much so.
Because, you know, you're just able to say, Jano, maybe, you know,
Them just having a rough day.
Them just having a rough day. And it's when you take that into consideration, when you acknowledge that you can have a rough day, it's easier to sympathize with someone else having a rough day.
Definitely. And then you realize also that a lot of times when people are having a quote-unquote rough day, it's not their fault. It's something that they have no control over, which is something that I think we should all be cognizant of. There's this quote that is always circulating on the internet saying that you should be nice to people because you don't know what kind of battles they're fighting.
Right.
And I think that goes for not just people having a rough day, but people who are definitely fighting mental issues that they have, and they suffer in silence a lot of times simply because there's a stigma on it, especially in our society. So the Wonga crew decided that we're gonna shed some light on it on this this important month, this important topic.
And I feel like we also just wanted to shed some light on like how food influences mental health too, because I feel like a lot of people don't think about that correlation or that possible correlation, because as of right now, even a lot of studies are very they're not solid, is what I'm saying.
A lot of them are actually very new, because I remember maybe up until early last year reading things about how there is no correlation between food and mental well-being, and now we're seeing articles and medical records and studies proving that there might be some correlation, but there's still a disclaimer saying something like, hey, this is still in trial period and we still have more research to be done.
So we are saying at this point in time, disclaimer, anything that we say in this particular episode is based on either our own experiences with dealing with our mental health or dealing with the mental health of people closest to us, as well as the research that we've done on our own accord. Mind you, a lot of the studies are, as Ashley said, relatively new, because mental health really and truly, like, the brain is so complex and scientists don't even understand it, really and truly. It's still this very weird and very confusing organ, and so just take everything with a grain of salt, because we are not doctors, we're not experts, we're just talking to things because we did read them,
we have some opinion,
we have some opinion. All right. We just have to say that. Okay, so part of the reason why this is so important, this conversation is so important. So there was a study done in the UK called the Adult Psychiatric Morbidity Study, and they found that 1 in 6 people have experienced a common mental issue in the last week.
Wow.
So that's not like in your lifetime, that's like last week. I'm sure everybody have at least 6 friends, even if that 2 of the 6 friend is your mother and your father.
You are probably the 6th friend.
You may also be the 6th friend.
Sometimes I feel like I'm the 6th friend.
Yeah. So
we all have those days,
I find that statistic,
it's alarming.
It is alarming, and it just goes to show why this should be a everybody issue and everybody concern, rather. It's everybody's business. Mental health is everybody's business. And so, as I said earlier, I feel like when people tend to think about mental health, they tend to think about like social interactions. Like, people think that, people become depressed because them don't have no friend, or people are depressed because of childhood trauma, some sort of trauma that is usually social, which is very valid, because a lot of trauma that people experience that lead to mental health issues are based on social interaction. So that is true. However, I feel like there is also a lot to be said about the biological too, because not everybody that has a mental health issue got it because they experienced something traumatic. Some mental health issues, like for example like ADHD, those kind of things, well, I mean, it's speculated that some people are born with them. It's speculated that they develop over time. And so I feel like there's a lot to be said about like the biology of these mental health things, right? And so that's kind of how we got into the whole conversation of food and mental health. And so I was reading this study from the UK as well, and it said one of the most obvious yet under-recognized factors in the development of mental health is nutrition. Just like the heart, stomach, and liver, the brain is an organ that requires different amounts of complex carbohydrates, essential fatty acids, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and water to remain healthy. So the brain is also an organ, which means that there must be some sort of link to mental health based on what you put in your body, what you're feeding your brain. Because, food don't only go to your stomach.
Yeah,
it goes
everywhere.
to everywhere.
And the brain sometimes is that organ that people overlook, because when you're considering your diet, you're thinking about what's good for your stomach, what's good for your heart, what's good for your liver and regulation of your kidneys,
your muscles,
and your muscles and your joints and your bones, whatever. But do we ignore the brain and what we're feeding our brains? Because just like how food can affect different organs, heart, belly, stomach, whatever, it can also affect your brain.
Yeah. I think the brain is largely ignored. But I think it's largely ignored because I think it's so misunderstood. Like, I feel like it's still like mysterious. People still don't really know what the hell is going on up there. A lot of people
who have brains don't know what the hell is going on.
Exactly. Like, I have a brain. Ashley has a brain. All the scientists have brains, and they still don't really know what is going on in the brain. So, but yeah, this is your reminder that your brain is a part of your body and it needs food. And so the food that you decide to feed your body with is going to have an effect on your brain.
Agreed.
Yeah. And so there have been some studies actually that have shown that diet does have a direct effect on the brain. 2 of those studies in particular, one showed that undernourished children tend to do more poorly in school, and they tend to misbehave a lot more than children who are not undernourished.
So they follow a proper diet.
Right.
Okay.
So but then of course, you have the idea of, maybe they're undernourished because they're poor. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're undernourished because of some other socioeconomic situation. And then
they end up blaming the depression on that issue.
Right.
The food.
However, in this particular study, they saw that there was a drastic increase in the attention span, mm-hmm. and the general behavior and the academic performance of the same students once they were provided with a balanced diet. So
interesting.
They're kind of,
1,000 things just popped into my mind a while ago. Over the years, you've read so many articles about how important it is for students at a particular age to have a proper diet. Mm-hmm. And, there was a whole health wave in the US back when Barack was president. Mm-hmm. Either his first or second term, when Michelle, had the obesity campaign. And she tried
Michelle's still out and about doing the
she
damn
was trying
thing.
to influence what cafeterias in high school served. That was one of the initiatives under the campaign. And she stressed so much how important it was. And I think a lot of people may not have realized how many indirect issues or results happen from students not being properly fed, especially at that tender age. You're out of the formative years, and now as a teenager you're not being fed properly. It leads into so many other problems in your life.
I mean, think about it. You are an adult. I am an adult. Ashley is an adult. You're listening to this, you're probably an adult. You don't pass your formative years,
of course,
right?
Sometime.
The possibility exists that you even pass through your second puberty as well.
Oh, let's not talk about second
Right?
puberty.
So, you're done farm, right? And I know that's when... I know that when I am hungry, I just do not function at the same level. Like, my belly is grumbling, I feel grumpy, I feel miserable.
I'm glad you mentioned
ask me to do nothing because I'm hungry. I'm hangry.
Yes, at first you say you don't function properly, you don't function the same, but it's not just about the function. This is how you are emotionally. You are irrational and you're very sensitive because you are not being nourished, you're not being fed on time, you're hungry, so you're mad, you're miserable, you just break out in tears for no reason at all.
Don't ask me anything when I'm hungry. Don't ask me anything. Don't.
Because I'm going to be mad at you.
I'm going to get upset.
Because you're speaking
Why are you
when I'm hungry.
Why are you nenge in my ears when I don't have nothing in my belly? You should be nenge in my ears about what is going to go in my belly.
Very simple.
Okay. Anyways, so if that happens for us, can you imagine what is going through, the changes that are going through the mind and the body of a child,
a teenager,
a child, a teenager, a baby, like you don't even know what the hell is going on in your own body. Like your body is stretching and moving, and you go to sleep today, tomorrow you wake up, you're 2 inches taller. You wake up and you have titty, and all of them things. They're like, all of these changes are happening in your body. Your body is under pressure. And then, worse, you don't have food. No, sir. Me not vex. Me not wake up every day vex. So I understand. I see it. I see why this study led to the conclusion.
It's so important.
Food is very important for your mental well-being. For sure, for sure, for sure. And so that was one study. And the second study found that a diet high in essential fatty acids and low in saturated fats slows the progression of memory loss and other cognitive problems.
So wait, I need to write that down. Wait, about the memory loss. So tell me what I should eat.
Yeah. So a diet high in essential fatty acids and low in saturated fats slows the progression of memory loss.
Yeah, it's a fat I beat my body now.
So I know that a lot of people, well, when I was younger, people always say eat fish to improve. It's good for your brain. And that is proving to be true through a lot of scientific studies, if you
But
do.
you know what's funny? Now that you mentioned memory loss, there is a direct link between anxiety and memory loss, as well as depression and memory loss. So is it that when we are eating these foods, are we preventing memory loss, or are we preventing an aspect of depression that causes memory loss? Thoughts?
You're not wrong.
I'm just saying. I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together. The maths is maths.
You're not wrong. And now that you mentioned depression, I'm all about the studies, guys, because I was like, I'm not coming on here to talk about feelings, because
it's not about feelings.
Y'all need to know what's going on, right? One of the studies that I read about said that there was a study done about fish intake by country. They were looking at, how popular is fish in a particular country, in over several countries, and then they were looking at the behaviors and the nutrition, basically the effects of the people within each country. And they saw that low intakes of folate or folic acid, which is found a lot in fish, that caused people to be significantly more likely to be diagnosed with depression. So they were basically saying, on their end, from their study, conclusively, people who ate less fish were more likely to be diagnosed with depression.
That's very interesting.
And then, as Ashley said, depression is linked to memory loss. Yeah. And we just said that fish is related to memory loss. So
things are starting to make sense. So on the same note, we're still, going through all of these articles, all of these studies that have been done in the past. Remember that these are not our words. So we are referencing what we have done from our own research.
Yeah.
So what they wanted to highlight in this article was nutritional psychiatry. So it's talking about, how food helps the mental state. So it says the 2 main questions that researchers are asking in relation to the role of nutrition in mental health are: 1, does diet help prevent mental health conditions? And 2, are nutritional interventions helpful in the treatment of these conditions? So we're looking at prevention and treatment. And this is what was found. It says several observational studies have shown a link between overall diet quality and the risk of depression. For example, one review of 21 studies from 10 countries found that a healthful dietary pattern characterized by high intakes of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, fish, low-fat dairy, and antioxidants, as well as low intakes of animal foods, was associated with a reduced risk of depression. Conversely, a Western-style diet involving a high intake of red and processed meats, refined grains, sweets, high-fat dairy products, butter and potatoes, as well as a low intake of fruit and vegetables, was linked with a significantly increased risk of depression.
Yeah.
And there's what I found very interesting, just from the conclusions of the studies, is that they highlighted the space in which the study was done, and they were able to not just look at the space, but to see the kind of food that people were consuming. So they look at Western style diets, and you'll realize that there's something that we highlight a lot on the podcast, where we talk about how modern day influence or contemporary society is influenced by Western styles because of the foundation and the history we have with the Western world.
Yeah.
Now, if we were supposed to go deep into it and try to put some analysis to what we just read, we can talk about the fact that even us here in the Caribbean is heavily influenced by Western styles, right? So how far does that influence go? Does it even seep through and trickle down to the point of mental well-being as well?
100%. Like 100%. 100%. And even if you think about, like, all right, like, so you're saying that an increase in Western dietary practices, so that's like red meat, processed foods, processed meat, stuff like that, and increasing that kind of diet is what shows an increase in depression, or I don't really like saying depression, but depressive behaviors. Right? But when you think about it, think about slavery, right? When you think about the food that the enslaved were given to eat, it was a lot of red meat, it was a lot of scraps, it was not a lot of high quality, quote unquote, organic, like, it was a lot of salted meat that, traveled from far. It was, and even like moving into the more, the Western ideals. I mean, we just had a whole episode about pasta.
Yep.
We eat a lot of refined carbs. We eat a lot of rice. We love fried chicken.
High fat dairy products.
There's we just talk about how Jamaicans love dairy. Like, it bigger than us. Like,
of course it is.
What our diet consists of is bigger than us. And so I guess that's why when people like deviate from that and go into the whole plant-based thing, why a lot of people are so like, why? A white people food that. It's because it's just, as I said, it's bigger. The choice for us to eat a quote-unquote westernized diet, it bigger than us. It was, the decision was made for us.
As a matter of fact, we did not choose that.
We didn't choose it. The decision was made for us.
We came here and saw it and we just said, make we run with it.
Yeah.
It was here before us. And it's probably going to be here after us as well. Because you know how Western influences are.
Yeah. And so when you think about it, so the fact that like a lower quality diet leads to higher chances of mental health issues.
So on the flip
think about that for the new world. What does that mean about the old world, putting that on the new world?
Especially in when you think about it through the lens of mental well-being being a contemporary issue.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people did not pay attention to their mental well-being before now. As a matter of fact, it was something that was not spoken about openly because it was this stigma, it was this taboo, it was the elephant in the room. You don't want to talk about it, I think that there was a study done, I'm not sure if it was in Jamaica, but they spoke about how so many students go through high school on the same level of other students and they go undiagnosed because a lot of parents would just pass off their behavior as things like, oh, him just give trouble, dump it upon him, spirit or ride him, go carry him go to the church and make him bathe in some holy water, and then they don't get diagnosed with the fact. And then because of that, they're treated equally like everyone else, which kind of perpetuates and intensifies the issue that they were facing within the first place.
Why? As we said, this issue bigger than me, bigger than Ashley, bigger than the house. So we in our record this right now, it bigger than you, it bigger than everybody.
So to kind of put in the disclaimer with what this article said, it concluded by saying, however, it's important to keep in mind that while observational studies can show an association, they cannot prove cause and effect. Also, even with randomized control trials, there are several limitations when it comes to nutrition research studies, including difficulties with accuracy measuring food intake. Researchers often rely on participants recalling what they have eaten in previous days, weeks, or months, but no one's memory is perfect.
Right.
I mean, your memory not go perfect if you're depressed and if you have anxiety. When it does say it causes memory loss.
Yeah. I've noticed too that there's a lot of so in a lot of the studies that are linked to certain mental health issues, there's a lot of focus on like micronutrients and like vitamins, so like vitamin B's, the omegas, the vitamin C, whatever. And in a couple that I found, it said, I already said the one about depression with like folic acid. They also found that a lot of persons that were diagnosed with depression had low levels of zinc and vitamin B1, B2, and C. Interesting. They found that schizophrenia patients tend to have lower levels of polyunsaturated fatty acids. Those are the omegas, so the omega-3 and the omega-6. Dementia patients tend to have a high level of fat and low levels of vitamin C and vitamin E. ADHD patients tend to exhibit deficiencies in iron, magnesium, and zinc. So when I think about it, like a lot of people, they focus on like carbs and protein, and that's really all. Like carbs, protein, and fat. That's all they care about when they're thinking of nutrition, right?
What a balanced diet supposed to look like.
But clearly it is bigger than just carbs, proteins, and fat. And when you think about it, it's very easy to miss some of these nutrients. Like it's very easy to just miss getting in some of these very, very important things.
I mean, these are the ones that go unnoticed. These are the ones that people don't readily think of when you try to classify different foods and what the kind of nutrients that they're supposed to give you.
Yeah.
So because of that, obviously there's not going to be a high intake of it, or an intentional high intake of it for the purpose of making yourself better, whether physically or mentally.
Yeah. And I think it's quite interesting. So when you think of like these micronutrients as well as vitamins, right? You know that they're found in food. Like they're just in food. It's not like you have to go out and you say, I mean, of course you can take supplements.
Yes.
But it's not like you're gonna say, I am going to eat this vitamin B1 berry. Like that's not the case. It's just in the food. But what I find interesting is that these things are so linked to mental health, but we don't talk about them enough in what they're in. Like, why do I know what kind of protein and what kind of carbohydrate is in a certain food, but I don't readily know what vitamins can be found in those foods? I don't readily know what micronutrients can be found in those foods. Like, I mean, I know when you're growing up, you know that, well, they sell to you things like orange juices have vitamin C, and carrots, I think, have vitamin A and it's good for your eyesight, and fish has the omegas, and leafy greens have vitamin K, I think, and those things. So, like, of course I tell you those things, but, like, I feel like in just your day-to-day supermarket shopping, nobody is thinking, is this food high in vitamin B?
Because that's how people shop.
Right. And I think it's interesting that that's how people have been taught not to shop. And it's so heavily linked to mental health. Like, shopping that way should be the way to go if you care about mental health.
But then it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It highlights how unimportant mental health or mental well-being has been over the years. So now it's like, I'm just going shopping because I know, say, I need bread, I need milk, I need eggs, I need cheese. But am I mindful of what are these things giving me in nutrients? What are they giving? What kind of vitamins am I getting out of these? Are there micronutrients in these foods? But so it's just, I go in there, and if it is that you're watching calories, you're just going to buy something that low in calories. But you don't look at what am I missing out when I buy something or have a keto diet that is zero carbs and things like that.
And we're not hating on keto diets. We're just using it as an example. Okay? Don't come for us. Don't come for us, keto stands, please. But yeah, I just think a lot of people should be more mindful about the vitamins and the micro and macronutrients that are going into your body as you become more mindful of your mind.
It's funny because I think it's strange that the studies linking food and mental well-being has just started. Because previously it was just they're not linked and we push it to the side and we don't give any focus to it. But just to put a little light humor to the episode, you realize that you could be in a bad mood and say, I'm gonna feel for something nice, and you go eat something and you feel better about yourself. Like, you could be having a rough day, and I know for me especially, it doesn't solve the problem, but if it's one thing it will do is either give me a distraction, or it put me in a food coma and send me go to bed, or it just gives me something to feel some form of comfort.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
and it's not just about it filling my belly, or it, you know, I'm nourishing my mind, but rather my outlook before my emotions are different now.
So that's a good segue into the next part of what I wanted to talk about.
Are we going to talk about eating my feelings? Because that's all I do.
No, we're not going to talk about eating your feelings. We already spoke about that kind of in the comfort food episode. If you want to go listen to Ashley talk about eating her feelings, go listen to the comfort food episode from season 1. But sometimes when you're just not having a very good day, you like eat something and it make you feel good.
I just want something nice. I want something nice right now.
I feel like everybody can relate to that. It doesn't.
You show up on my yard without something in your hand, I'm very disrespected.
Well, you just put bread pudding in the oven.
You could have carried vanilla ice cream.
I don't understand.
With you
Nobody never tell me what one. Anyways, so there is a reason that happens, and it's because of your brain, right? So yeah, we're going to talk about serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. This is a hormone that everybody has. It is not only for people who are concerned about their mental well-being. Serotonin exists in everybody. And serotonin, it regulates sleep, appetite, moods, and it also can inhibit pain. 95%, this is a fact, 95% of all the serotonin in your body is produced in your gastrointestinal tract. AKA, the production of serotonin is dependent on your stomach and all the other things in your belly. AKA, it is dependent on what you put in there, right? And so, you know, of course, hormones, they're interconnected in that they react with different things in your body. They react with other hormones. There is a little communication system in there they're running, right? It's a call center of hormones in there, really and truly.
Not a call center.
That's really what it is. Everybody just a call, bling bling off my line, serotonin bling off somebody line, dopamine bling off somebody else line.
Press a button and release.
Yeah, that's really in the most simplest terms, that is how the neural system works. Everybody just a bling off somebody else line. And so when you think about it in that way, when you actually realize, hey, what I put in my belly is genuinely going to affect my sleep, it's going to affect my mood, and it's going to affect my pain tolerance, right? Guys, it's serious. It's not a joke. Speaking of
pain tolerance, did you read that study where they're trying to ascertain whether or not, this probably is a little off topic, but when they're trying to see if women who can achieve orgasm during childbirth can alleviate the pain of labor?
I have never heard of that in my life.
So they're starting this thing to see
people orgasm during childbirth?
No, not that they do unintentionally. They try to trigger an orgasm while you're in labor. Yeah. So when you're having contractions before you actually start delivering, to alleviate the contractions, which is why there's also a study that says if you have orgasms before your cycle starts, it alleviates the intensity of cramps when you period.
Well, I know people always say when you're having a headache, orgasms will help the headache, but
it's the release of serotonin.
Yeah, that's true. But going away from sex, bring it back to food.
Ain't nobody said anything about sex.
So in the whole hormonal conversation, right, there are two groups of food that alter the brain. One group tricks the brain into releasing neurotransmitters and causes temporary alterations in the mood. So when you think about things like caffeine and chocolate and sugar, you know, those kind of things.
Sounds sweet.
Yeah. And then you have the other group, which damages the brain by preventing necessary conversion of other foods into nutrients that the brain requires. So those are the more debilitating foods like saturated fat, which you will find in butter and lard and dairy products. Yeah. Right? So we did
mention saturated fats for the study that says that it found that more people who consume that were more likely to be diagnosed with depression.
There you go.
Comes full circle.
There you go. So yeah. So it comes back to just being very, very, very aware of what you're putting in your belly, because it affects your mind. It affects your mind. And
nobody's saying you should give up the things that give you temporary relief, though.
No, absolutely not.
But just be mindful of the fact that this is what the process is like.
Yeah.
Know that it is temporary release.
Yeah.
And if it is that bit deeper than the music, then maybe perhaps you should reach out and find some other way to help yourself.
Yeah, and it's it's interesting that we're just talking about sex, and
I thought we were moving away from
and
sex.
how sex can inhibit pain, because the reason why it inhibits pain is because it causes a surge of dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
It has been found that sugar does the same thing. Sugar has the same effect. Well, not same, but sugar has very similar effects on the brain that an orgasm has. What also has a very similar effect on the brain is heroin and cocaine. So
what we're saying is sugar, sex, heroin, cocaine, you should probably do it.
What we're saying is be very mindful of all of those things. Dairy has also been found to have similar effects on the brain, because there is a lot of sugar content in dairy.
I mean, they do put crack in ice cream. That's the only way the ice cream could have a chocolate on us like that.
There you go. That's why I was saying them put crack in the KFC too, because but yeah, so I feel like knowing all of those things, knowing that serotonin is produced in your stomach, knowing that certain foods will cause surges of dopamine. I feel like once you know those things and once you're aware of those things, which is why I'm saying them now, you realize that mental health truly is everybody's business. It is everybody's problem. It is everybody's issue. It is everybody's business. It is something that everybody should be cognizant of. It is not solely a concern for the people down at Bellevue. It is not a concern solely for the mad people, the quote-unquote mad people. It's everybody's business, because guess what? Your hormones are, as I said, everybody are bling bling every day, right?
You know what's funny? How mental well-being, or the lack thereof, can manifest in our diets as well.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are going through depressive states, or people who are having periods of anxiety, you can see one out of the two things happening, where they either don't eat at all, they've lost all appetite, or they eat so much more than they would normally do, and then it not just affects the diet, it obviously leads into some change in your physical appearance, and then that in and of itself creates a whole other issue for you, because your diet has been stumped so drastically, and then it presents other health concerns. And I feel like when we're so affected by our diet, until it becomes a problem in our physical state where it affects certain organs, that is when we pay attention to it.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. And I mean, talk about this on another episode, but I feel like that's a problem with, like people who are just naturally skinny.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of those people, and I don't have any study to back this one up, sorry guys, but I feel like some of those people tend to not be as cognizant of their health, because it is not apparent on the outside, right? I feel like when you are someone who is prone to weight gain, because like you eat sugar today and tomorrow you put on 5 pounds, everybody is always on you about your health. And it's not even just everybody. Everywhere you turn, there's conversation about, you're overweight, so you need to watch what you eat, Whereas when you don't have those problems, when you have a high metabolism, and you end up almost being free of that conversation. Definitely. You end up just not being as cognizant about your health, and I think in the same vein, you end up not being as cognizant about your relationship with food and your mental health.
Yeah, because no one sees it showing on you, so they don't care.
Yeah.
And as I said, we mentioned earlier that people only care when it's their physical.
Yeah.
When you can see it, which is probably societal norms. It's something that we've conditioned to do. If you don't look a certain way, you don't fit into society. What society says you're supposed to look like, And until you step out of the norm, step out of that circle, and then you're seeing physical changes in yourself, you'll realize that that is when people want to say something to you about it. And even then, it's never is this person going through something that triggered this change and caused her to change her physical appearance? It's always she eat too much.
She eat too much. It's
and
never.
It's a Jamaican thing. Whenever somebody don't see you in a long time, like, John, she get fatty. What a way you get fat.
It's never. Wow, I wonder if she's okay. Okay, is she going through
is she okay?
a depressive state? Is everything going at home? Is she in an abusive relationship? Is that why she's putting on weight?
It's the same thing. Like if people lose a lot of weight drastically. The first question I'm asked is, the man that's just around, she'll lose weight.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like it kind of invalidates how important or how severely mental well-being can affect us in the long run, you know?
Yeah. Especially, and as we said, always coming back to mental well-being and that relationship with food. So, to wrap up this episode, as well as to wrap up Mental Health Awareness Month, just, be cognizant of the food that you're putting into your body, of what you are choosing to nourish yourselves with, because you're not only nourishing your muscles and your heart and your liver and your kidney, you are also nourishing your mind. As you go forth into the world, just take care of your body.
Be mindful of what you put into your body,
because it's affecting your brain. Just remember, your brain is a part of your body as well. And your brain, there's a lot of conversation about whether the brain and the mind are the same thing or two separate things.
That is true.
I don't really care what your take on that is, but the fact of the matter is that two of them are connected in some way, shape, or form. And so whatever you eat is going to affect your brain and therefore may affect your mind.
And also, guys, we just want to say that if you feel as if you might be going through any changes, if you feel pressured in some sense, if you feel overwhelmed and you can't pinpoint what exactly is going on, if you just notice, observe any changes in your daily routine or in your way of thinking, your frame of mind, we encourage you to reach out to somebody who can help, preferably a professional. And for those of you who bully people about mental well-being, don't do it, because
don't do it. We could have said something more crass, but just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, please. And guys, I feel like Ashley and I are we strangers to you? I don't know. Maybe you feel like you know us because you listen to us every other week. But if you'd like to message one of us to talk about it, or if you would like us to share any of our resources with you, I am someone who, I'm very mindful. Ashley is also very mindful of mental health issues and just mental well-being in general. So we are here as a resource if you need it. As I said before, we are not mental health professionals,
but we'll help where we can.
But we will help where we can, and we will point you into the direction of people who can help you. Okay. And with all of that, we'll see you next time, guys. Remember, Corona is still keeping, so
please
wash your hand and sanitize and social distance and all of them things there.
Stop each up behind people in a line.
Yeah, stop doing it, especially at the supermarket. Stop doing it.
And in the Devon House party line too.
Stop doing it.
You girl who come each up behind me last week Saturday, what was that for? You see the 6 feet stick up on the ground.
Stop it. When I see the sick of them, stop it. Anyways,
bye.
Till next time, guys. Bye.